Hi friends, welcome back to Storytime with Sunny Sparkle. I'm so happy you're here. Today, we begin a magical new adventure about two brave girls, a mysterious attic, and a bag full of secrets and gold. So grab your comfiest blanket, snuggle in, and let's begin. It all started in a small, quiet village, surrounded by whispering woods and hills that turned golden in the sunlight. In a little brick house with blue curtains and flower pots on the windowsills, lived two best friends, Mina and Lila. Mina was quiet, thoughtful, and loved books. Lila was full of laughter, always asking questions, and had a wild imagination. Though they were very different, they were like two puzzle pieces that fit perfectly together. One rainy afternoon, the girls were playing hide-and-seek in Mina's house. Thunder rumbled, and raindrops tapped on the windows like tiny fingers. Lila, always looking for the best hiding spots, tiptoed up the creaky attic stairs. "Mina will never find me up here," she whispered with a giggle. The attic was dusty and full of old trunks, broken lamps, and forgotten memories. As she crouched behind a tall stack of boxes, her foot bumped something hard. Clink. Curious, Lila pulled away a heavy wool blanket. Beneath it was a small wooden chest, old and worn, with a rusty metal latch. "Treasure?" she breathed. Just then, Mina called out, "Found you, Lila." Instead of being disappointed, Lila pointed at the chest with wide eyes. "Look!" The girls knelt together, brushing away cobwebs. The latch creaked open, and inside they found gold coins. Bright, shining, beautiful coins, so many they couldn't count them all. "Where did this come from?" Mina whispered, her voice full of wonder. Lila held up a coin. "Maybe pirates left it. Or maybe it's cursed," she said dramatically. Mina rolled her eyes but smiled. "Or maybe it belonged to someone in your family. We have to find out. They made a pact right there in the attic. No one else would know about the coins, not yet. They'd uncover the mystery together, one step at a time. Let's call it Operation Golden Truth," Lila declared. Mina nodded. "And we start tomorrow." Outside, the rain stopped. A patch of sunlight warmed the attic floor, making the gold coins sparkle like stars. Little did they know, this was only the beginning. The next morning, the sky was clear and blue, and the whole village smelled like wet grass and sunshine. Mina and Lila couldn't stop thinking about the treasure hidden in the attic. They met under their favorite tree, the big old sycamore with a swing, and whispered excitedly. "I had dreams about golden dragons," Lila said, swinging gently. "And one of them was guarding a chest just like ours." Mina laughed. "I dreamed we were on a pirate ship, sailing to find even more coins." Then they both stopped talking and just stared at each other, grinning wide. Adventure. They raced back to Mina's attic, careful not to be seen by Mina's little brother, Toby, who always wanted to follow them everywhere. Once upstairs, Mina spread out the coins across the wooden floor, each one glowing in the soft morning light. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a coin with a rose stamped on it. "That looks like the rose on Grandma Nani's old quilt." Lila gasped. "Do you think the coins belonged to her?" They tiptoed down to the guest room, where Mina's grandma sometimes stayed. Folded neatly at the end of the bed was the patchwork quilt, pink, blue, and gold, with tiny roses stitched into the corners. Lila leaned in and touched one of the roses. "They match exactly." Mina's eyes widened. "Let's look underneath." They lifted the quilt and found something odd. Sewn into the lining was a small pocket. Inside was a folded piece of yellowed paper. Mina carefully opened it. The handwriting was old and curly, with flourishes on every letter. "To the one who finds this treasure, remember, true gold is not what glitters in light, but what warms the heart in deepest night." "Whoa," Lila whispered. "It's like a poem, or a riddle." Mina stared at the words, then at the coins. "Maybe there's more to this than just money." Lila nodded. "Maybe the treasure is part of a story." Just then, they heard Mina's mom calling from downstairs. "Girls, time for lunch." They quickly put everything back. Mina slipped the poem into her pocket, and they hurried down. But their minds were still in the attic, spinning with questions. At the lunch table, Mina couldn't help asking, "Mom, Did Grandma Nani ever talk about treasure? Her mom blinked in surprise. Well, she used to tell stories about helping people during hard times. She said she had a special way of giving, but never wanted to be thanked. Mina and Lila exchanged a look. Something was clicking into place. That night, as they lay on sleeping bags in Mina's room, Lila whispered, "What if the coins were part of that special way of giving?" Mina nodded slowly. "Then maybe we're supposed to keep the kindness going." The coins were no longer just shiny pieces of gold. They were pieces of a bigger story. A story they had just begun to uncover. The next morning, Mina and Lila set off to visit the person who might know the most about Grandma Nani's secret past, Mr. Pendle, the oldest man in the village. He lived in a crooked little house near the Whispering Tree, which was said to carry the memories of old times in its twisting branches. Lila brought cookies in a blue tin, and Mina held the old poem tightly in her hand. Mr. Pendle welcomed them with a smile full of wrinkles. "Ah, Mina and Lila. Come in. Come in. What brings you two bright faces to this dusty corner of the village?" We found something," Mina said carefully. "Something that belonged to my Grandma Nani, and we think you might know more about it." She handed him the folded poem. He read it slowly, then looked up with eyes that suddenly seemed younger. "Well now, I haven't seen this in a long, long time." "You know what it means?" Lila asked, bouncing on the edge of her chair. Mr. Pendle nodded. "Your grandmother was a quiet hero, girls. During hard times, she helped people secretly. If someone couldn't afford medicine, a small pouch of coins would appear on their doorstep. If a family lost their home, a gift would arrive just in time. No one ever knew it was her. She called it the Golden Kindness." "The Golden Kindness," Mina repeated softly. "Where did she get the gold?" Lila asked. Mr. Pendle chuckled. "Some say it was part of an old family fortune, but Nani never told. She only said gold was useful, only if it made someone's world brighter." The girls sat in silence for a moment, thinking. Then Mina asked, "Do you think we should keep the coins? Or use them like she did?" "That's not a question I can answer," Mr. Pendle said. "But I think your hearts already know." On their walk home, the wind rustled through the Whispering Tree. The leaves seemed to whisper things only the girls could hear. "She gave in secret," Mina said. "So people felt hope, not pity," Lila added. "And she never told anyone. That's why even your mom didn't know." They reached the top of the hill, where the whole village lay below, like a picture in a storybook. Their school, the bakery, the tiny post office, it all looked different now. "Let's start small," Mina said. "We could leave a few coins for someone who really needs them." Lila grinned. "Like Mr. Jonah. His bike shop roof leaks every time it rains. And Miss Elsie?" Mina added. "She's always short on groceries at the market." The girls made a plan. That night, with coins tucked into tiny envelopes and notes that simply said, "For you," they set off like shadows into the sleeping village. They tiptoed under the stars, hearts racing, dropping envelopes like golden snowflakes. And the next morning, the village woke to something they hadn't felt in a while. The sun peeked over the hills, spreading golden light across the rooftops. Birds chirped louder than usual, as if they sensed something magical had happened in the night. Mina and Lila watched from their tree swing, trying not to smile too big as people started their morning routines. At the bike shop, Mr. Jonah rubbed his eyes and stared at the little envelope on his doorstep. He picked it up with hands stained from grease and opened it slowly. Inside was a note that simply said, "For you." Underneath it lay 3 gold coins. He looked around, confused, but no one was there. Then he laughed softly and wiped his eyes with his sleeve. "Bless the skies," he whispered. "Maybe the world still holds surprises." Down the street, Miss Elsie opened her mailbox and gasped. Her cat, Pickle, jumped down from the window ledge in surprise. Coins shimmered inside the envelope. She smiled and whispered, "Looks like kindness still finds its way home." One by one, more little miracles happened. A lonely widow found coins tucked beneath her flower pot. A boy who'd outgrown his shoes found a pouch tied to his front gate. Everywhere, the coins made Ripple small ones, gentle and quiet but wide enough to touch hearts. Mina and Lila, watching from their hideouts, felt the warmth grow inside them like a candle being lit. That afternoon, the village buzzed with curiosity. People gathered at the bakery, the school steps, the corner store. No one could figure out where the coins had come from, but everyone felt the same thing: hope, and something even stronger: the urge to pass it on. "I'm going to buy extra bread," Miss Elsie told the baker, "and leave a loaf at the neighbor's house." "I'll fix old Mr. Henry's garden fence," said Mr. Jonah. Mina and Lila smiled. The coins were doing more than buying things, they were awakening kindness. That evening, as golden light turned to soft purple dusk, the girls returned to the attic. They sat cross-legged by the open chest, sorting coins and counting how many people they could help next. But just as Lila reached for another coin, she saw something strange. "Mina, look!" Beneath the last layer of coins was a small velvet pouch they hadn't noticed before. Inside was a delicate gold locket. When Mina opened it, a tiny photo of Grandma Nani smiled up at them. On the other side, carved in fine letters, were the words, "The heart is the richest treasure of all." They sat in silence, hands wrapped around the locket. "She wanted us to find this," Mina said softly. Lila nodded. "So we'd know what really matters." Outside, the village lights began to twinkle, and inside, two girls held the secret of gold, not the kind that fills pockets, but the kind that fills the world with love. Mina and Lila met again the next morning, this time in the back corner of the town library, behind a tall shelf of dusty adventure books. Mina held the locket gently in her hand. Lila had brought a small notebook and a red pencil. "We need to keep track of who we help," Lila whispered, "so we remember the journey." They started a list: Mr. Jonah, bike shop Miss Elsie, groceries, Widow Thompson, flower pot coins Henry the gardener, fence repair young Oliver, new shoes. "5 families already," Mina said, tapping the pencil. "And we've only used about a third of the coins." Lila flipped to a fresh page. "Who should we help next?" Mina thought for a moment. "What about Sadie's mom? She works so hard at the cafe and never takes a break." "Yes," Lila said. "We could leave a gift card and coins with a note." That evening, as stars blinked into the sky, the girls dropped a small envelope under Sadie's mom's front door. Inside was a note that read, "You are seen. You are appreciated." The next day, the cafe smelled even warmer. Sadie's mom smiled brighter than anyone had seen in weeks. She bought treats for every customer, saying only, "Someone reminded me that kindness is everywhere." The girls felt the ripple grow again. Soon, others in the village began doing quiet good deeds too. Flowers appeared on empty porches. Books were left on park benches with bookmarks that said, "You are loved." It was like a golden light had bloomed across the village. But not everyone was joyful. One day, Mina overheard 2 older boys talking behind the school. "Someone's got to be hiding treasure around town," one said. "We should find it." "What if it's buried?" said the other. "We could dig up the whole park." Mina's heart sank. What if someone greedy found the chest? She told Lila right away. "We have to hide it better," Lila said. That night, they carried the wooden chest downstairs, out through the back door, and into the old shed behind Mina's garden. They placed it under a pile of firewood and tucked the locket into a secret box, which Mina slid under her bed. They didn't want the treasure taken, but more than that, they didn't want the kindness to be lost. Afterward, they sat in the garden, wrapped in blankets, drinking warm milk from mugs. The stars above seemed to smile. "We're not just giving coins," Mina said. "We're growing a secret, a garden of kindness," Lila whispered. "One heart at a time." The wind rustled through the leaves, and in that quiet moment, they both understood something big. It wasn't about how much gold they had. It was about how far a kind heart could shine. It was a rainy morning when the chest finally emptied. Mina and Lila sat cross-legged in the shed, watching the last few golden coins shimmer under the soft light of a lantern. "One left," Mina whispered. They both stared at it. One coin, one last chance to share their grandma's kindness. "Who should get it?" Lila asked. Mina's eyes drifted toward the foggy window. Someone who's always giving, but never asks for anything back. A silence passed between Theme and, then they both said, at the exact same time, Miss April. Miss April was the town's librarian. She always stayed late so kids could finish their homework. She shelved books with humming lips and made tea for anyone who had a sad day. That night, the girls wrapped the last coin in silver tissue and placed it in a tiny box, along with a note that said, "You make the world brighter. Now let it shine on you." They tiptoed into the library's back room, where Miss April kept her woolly sweaters and rose-scented tea bags. They left the gift on her desk, just under the lamp. The next morning, Miss April found it. She held the coin close to her chest, then looked around the empty room and whispered, "Thank you, whoever you are." Outside, the sun finally broke through the clouds. Back at Mina's house, the girls climbed up to the attic one last time. They knelt beside the empty chest. The coins were gone, but something even more powerful remained. A feeling, a secret, a quiet joy that came from giving and never needing to be seen. Then, Mina opened the notebook Lila had kept. On the last page, she wrote in careful letters, "A bag of coins can disappear, but kindness grows forever." And under it, she drew a heart with wings. Lila placed the notebook inside the chest, along with the locket. Then they closed the lid together. Weeks passed, then months. Life in the village moved on, but something had changed. People still smiled more, helped more, believed more. Mina and Lila never told anyone the truth. But every time someone gave without asking for thanks, they smiled quietly to themselves, because they knew the golden kindness hadn't ended. It had just begun again, in 100 new hands. And every time the wind whispered through the trees, the girls could almost hear Grandma Nani's voice saying, "The heart is the richest treasure of all." Hey friends, free friends, if you loved the story of two girls and a bag of gold coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you never miss another cozy tale. What would you do if you found a chest of gold? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, the smallest kind act can shine brighter than all the treasure in the world. We'll see you next time for another warm and wonderful adventure. Until then, stay kind, stay curious, and keep shining.